Good day, everyone. Today we are going to talk about two very different types of fixed income instruments. The first one is the Public Provident Fund, and the second one is the Post Office Monthly Income Scheme. So let's go ahead and see what they are and how they work. The Public Provident Fund is a typical small savings type of an instrument, but it has got the peculiarity that the time frame or the tenure for a public provident fund is 15 years. It's the longest tenured fixed income instrument that you can buy from a post office or from a bank. So let us start with what is public provident fund. The Public Provident Fund was introduced in India in 1968 and is one of the most popular investment avenues for salaried employees. The minimum tenure that you can use Provident Fund for is 15 years, and after that, it can be extended in blocks of 5 years each. And the most important aspect of Public Provident Fund is that all deposits that you make in the PPF are deductible under 80C of the IT Act, which means that you can annually deposit up to 1.5 lakh rupees in your PPF account and it will be considered as removed from your annual income. So your taxes will be calculated by subtracting whatever you have deposited in your PPF account. Another very important aspect is that the accumulated amount and interest is also tax exempt at the time of withdrawal, which means that when you withdraw the entire amount after the tenure is over, when the PPF becomes mature, even then you do not have to pay any taxes. So in that sense, it is a very attractive investment opportunity for people who are looking for safety and at the same time guaranteed returns. The minimum investment that you can make into a public provident fund is 500 rupees, and the maximum that you can make is 1.5 lakhs, which is coincidentally the same amount that is maximum deductible under Section 80C of the IT Act. So, if you do not have any other investment instrument other than public provident fund, even then you will be able to make full use of Section 80C. One very important aspect is that you have to invest at least 500 rupees in the PPF account that you have opened on an yearly basis. Otherwise, the account becomes dormant and then you may have to pay a small penalty to reactivate the PPF account. The major features include the availability of partial withdrawal after 5 years of continuous deposits. The second thing that we have already discussed is minimum of 500 rupees has to be deposited every year into your account, otherwise the account becomes dormant. And the interest on PPF is calculated based on the balance in account before the 5th of every month. This you can find from the details of different banks that offer PPF facilities. So the idea is that you are depositing money every month. So if you are putting money into PPF, make sure that you pay into your PPF account as early as possible at the beginning of the month, because interest is calculated on how much is the balance in your account at the beginning of a month. And the interest is compounded annually. So interest gets calculated every month, but the compounding happens on an annual basis. And a very important aspect is that there are no provisions for periodic interest payments. So if you are looking at PPF for a regular source of income, you will not be able to get it. You will only be able to withdraw the amount as lump sum. Periodic interest payments are possible. Let's get into the second type of instrument. This is a different type of instrument when compared to the PPF. This is called the Post Office Monthly Income Scheme. And the major feature of Post Office Monthly Income Scheme is that the income is guaranteed. Unlike PPF, you get fixed monthly income from a Post Office Monthly Income Scheme. So this is useful for people who are looking at getting a regular flow of money to maybe meet their daily needs. So this could be a useful instrument for people who are living post retirement, who have some lump sum amount that they want to invest and want to get risk free money on a monthly basis. And since this is through post office, the government of India is giving guarantee that this money will be kept safe, and that is why people are interested in investing in this scheme. Unlike bank deposits or bank based schemes, this is driven by post office, which means government of India directly takes responsibility for the money invested in this account. Hence it is much more safer than even banks. And the minimum amount you can invest is about 1000 rupees, and the maximum you can have is 4.5 lakh rupees. There is also a possibility that you can open a joint account where you can have a maximum of 9 lakh rupees as the deposit that you can make to this account. Another major feature is that the payout will begin from the end of first month. So you keep the money in the account at the beginning of a month. By the beginning of next month, you would have already got your first interest payment. So in that way, it is a very good opportunity to get very quick periodic payments. Some of the major issues with post office monthly income scheme are: you typically need to have a prior post office savings account, which means that you need to already own a post office savings account if you want to start this scheme, or the post office will make sure that you open the account at the time that you are starting the post office monthly income scheme. And there is a typical lock-in period of 5 years. However, you can prematurely encash the post office monthly income scheme deposit. However, there will be a reduction in the interest rate that you will be getting. So you can see the percentage is mentioned as a discount. You can find more details about this in the India Post website, which is given below. And the major thing that you should be keeping in mind when you are investing in post office monthly income scheme is that the payouts which come every month, if it is not collected, they do not yield any interest, which means that there is no compounding that takes place. If you keep the interest as it is, then it will just sit there without doing anything. That means it will not get automatically reinvested, it does not get automatically renewed or deposited into any kind of account. It just sits there and does nothing. So it is a good idea to collect the payouts and use it for reinvestment or use it for meeting your expenses rather than just letting it sit in the post office account. The reason why post office savings account is necessary is for this purpose also. The payouts typically are directed to the post office savings account where you can pick up the uh, money and then use it for different purposes. Another major aspect of post office monthly income scheme is that there is no tax exemption that you will get under section 80C of the Income Tax Act. This is not a tax saving instrument. This is mainly for ensuring regular flow of money, that is regular income. With this, we have come to the end of this video. But before we end, I wanted to give you a brief idea about a different type of provident fund, which is called the Employees Provident Fund. However, we are not covering this in this particular video, mainly because public provident fund is something that an individual can decide on by himself or herself and open the account without having to get anybody's permission. However, employees provident fund has to be opened. That means an employees provident fund account has to be opened only with the consent of the employer and the employee of the firm. So usually if you want to open an EPF account, it will be done by the accounts department of the company for which you are working. So in that sense, we do not have a lot of role for the individual in its opening, and the other aspects of the employees provident fund still remain the same. The maximum deposit that you can make to an EPF account is also 1.5 lakh rupees to get tax exemption under section 80C. And the additional feature that you will have for an employees provident fund is that the employer also puts in a little bit of money as a contribution from his side. You also contribute a little bit of money from your side as your contribution. A part of that money goes into the employees pension scheme, and the rest of it goes into the provident fund. So that is the difference between a public provident fund and an employees provident fund. We will look into those things in some detail in the next videos, but for the time being, this should be sufficient as an overview of fixed income instruments. We will continue with some more fixed income instruments in the next video. Till then, keep watching.